So I'm making this video because a friend of mine had sent me a video that was conducted by the BBC not too long ago regarding mental health facilities in Afghanistan. And he had informed me about some of the things that are going on over there. Basically, there's a lot of people over there that have really nothing wrong with them at this point. They've been admitted to some type of mental institution. Their parents may have put them in there, or somebody else may have put them in there. And even though there's nothing wrong with them, they're being held there basically for life. And so it's basically the equivalent of being locked up for something that you didn't do, and they're stuck there for life. So this video, it was put out by the BBC, so it got the viewership that pays attention to the normal BBC posting, but it didn't seem to draw the kind of outrage that some issue like that might draw. And it's something that he and I wanted to bring attention to. So I can't speak specifically on that. I haven't been to Afghanistan. I haven't investigated personally that facility, but I can speak on my own personal experience. When I was younger, for a long time, I was having cardiac arrhythmias, and something was going on with my heart, and I was having drops in blood pressure, and I was having a lot of very serious physical symptoms. And so I was taken to a psychiatrist, and I was diagnosed as having panic attacks. So they put me on Xanax. Now, as you guys know, today Xanax is a street drug, which has a lot of very negative effects, especially long-term effects if people get addicted to it. So he prescribed me this. It didn't fix the problem, okay, at all. And so he prescribed me a double dose of Xanax. So I would go on a higher dose. They prescribed me antidepressants. They were putting me on all kinds of drugs that are meant to treat psychiatric conditions, and it was not fixing the problem at all. Eventually, I got diagnosed as having a congenital heart defect that causes arrhythmias and sudden cardiac death, which obviously the Xanax and the Zoloft and the other stuff they had me on was not fixing at all. So we have to remember that there's an industry that makes a lot of money off of psychiatric drugs, things that treat really behaviors that are not indicative of any type of psychiatric problem are treated often with very powerful drugs that have long-term effects on a child's growth, on a child's physical health. Ritalin is an extremely overprescribed drug. Any kid that's active in class could just have a lot of energy, could be not disciplined at home, whatever the reason might be. They're prescribed Ritalin, and now they're put on this drug. And that's bad enough, as far as the physical side effects that it causes, such as appetite suppression and subsequent, growth suppression. But it also, it causes kids to think that there's something wrong with them, that they have a disorder when they actually don't. There's plenty of other stories that I've seen where, kids are prescribed different types of drugs, and there's nothing wrong with these kids. I've met these kids, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. I have another friend. He was prescribed different types of drugs, for conditions that he didn't have, like obviously didn't have. So one thing that I just wanted to draw attention to is that, I think the psychiatric profession, and I think a lot of the institutions that we have here in the U.S. and overseas as well, they're oftentimes viewed as like some type of nonprofit organizations that just, do what they do out of the goodness of their heart to help people. You got to remember, these are businesses at the end of the day, okay? If people don't have anything wrong with them, they don't make money. So they have a financial incentive to find something wrong with you, okay? And to categorize as defects or disorders things that are just normal behaviors in people. I'm saying? They can be corrected a lot of other different ways. So, yeah, that's an issue that I feel like needs a lot more attention here in the U.S., man, because it's a huge business, it's a huge industry, and a lot of people are getting addicted to drugs and becoming drug addicts on drugs that are legal, and this is totally unnecessary. There's a lot of abuse going on in this area, and as far as what's going on in other countries, we have to remember that these are people that don't have any advocates. They're just stuck there. You know what I'm saying? So if the U.S. really wants to, be consistent with what they say about human rights and all this kind of thing, it has to be willing to bring up things like this with foreign governments and do things like, incentivize them with economic sanctions or whatever else it has to be, in order to basically force them to do this stuff that's in the best interest of their own population sometimes. Because if we're going to get up there and talk about human rights and then go and shake hands with somebody that's allowing this kind of thing, it's not okay. It's not consistent. It's hypocritical. So, I want to thank my friend for, informing me about what's going on over there. And over here, in the past, obviously in the United States, there's been a lot of abuse in mental institutions, a lot of horror stories coming out of there. And, before anyone, I can't talk to government officials and force them to do what I want them to do, but, just an ordinary person, I would think long and hard before visiting a psychiatric institution, before admitting your loved ones to one of these institutions, or before, going to anyone in the psychiatric profession for help. Because there's so much abuse that hasn't even been uncovered yet, in that industry, in that business. And I'll call it that because that's an accurate description of it.